There's a reason you're hearing this right now, and it's not by accident. Something in your spirit has been stirring, a quiet whisper that won't leave you alone. You've felt it for months, maybe even years, that strange tension between what your life looks like and what your soul knows is coming. It's like you're standing at the edge of something massive, something divine, and even if the world around you can't see it, you feel it, deeply, constantly, like an invisible thread pulling you toward a purpose you can't fully explain. That's because you've been chosen, not by popularity, not by your bank account, not by society's standards, but by God. And when God chooses someone, He doesn't always make it obvious to the world. In fact, He often hides them in plain sight. While others are out front, chasing attention and applause, the chosen are kept in the shadows, protected, refined, and prepared in silence. That loneliness you've been wrestling with? It wasn't punishment, it was preservation. That isolation wasn't rejection, it was redirection. You weren't being overlooked. You were being shielded from distractions that could have sabotaged your mission. God was hiding you not because you were insignificant, but because you were too important to be contaminated by the noise of this world. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to stand apart. And it's in that very separation that your strength was forged. While others were climbing ladders built on ego and ambition, you were being taught to kneel. While others celebrated visibility, you learned the power of vision. Your journey didn't make sense to most people, and that's exactly how it was supposed to be, because the oil on your life isn't common. The wisdom you carry wasn't taught in classrooms. The authority you walk in wasn't handed to you by people. It was breathed into you by God. Every closed door, every unanswered prayer, every delay, none of it was random. It was calculated, curated, intentional. Because God wasn't just preparing a blessing for you, He was preparing you for the blessing. And now, the stage is shifting, the curtain is rising, the divine wealth transfer has already begun. But it's not loud, it's not chaotic. It's moving silently, swiftly, supernaturally, into the hands of those who stayed faithful in obscurity, into the hands of those who didn't quit when everything inside them wanted to, into the hands of the chosen ones. But let's be honest, being chosen hasn't felt like a reward. It's felt like a burden. You've been through storms that almost broke you. You've faced warfare that others wouldn't survive. And maybe you've even questioned, why me? Why is my life so heavy, so intense, so different? The answer is simple but sacred. Because God knew what He put inside you. He knew you were strong enough to handle the crushing, the pruning, the pressure. He knew your shoulders could carry more than most. He knew your obedience could be trusted, even when your heart was breaking. The chosen ones suffer first, not because God loves them less, but because He plans to use them more. You had to lose what others got to keep. You had to walk alone while others walked in crowds. You had to be broken so He could rebuild you the right way. It's not that you're cursed, it's that you're called, and that calling came with a cost. But now the suffering is making sense. The pain is turning to power. The weight is turning into wisdom. God never wastes a wound. Every sleepless night, every betrayal, every silent tear, it's all been stored, all been counted, all been seen. And heaven is repaying in full. You may not realize it, but the shift is already here. Look around. The atmosphere is different. Time is speeding up. Cycles are ending. Patterns are breaking. And if you're sensitive in the spirit, you can feel the ground beneath your feet trembling, not in fear, but in anticipation, because something big is happening. And it's not just happening to you, it's happening through you. Divine ideas are being deposited in your dreams. Strategies are being whispered in your quiet time. People are being removed and replaced. You're losing the desire to chase things that once consumed you. That's because the alignment has started. Heaven is positioning you. Angels are going ahead of you. Resources are being unlocked. Divine favor is following you in places your name hasn't even been spoken yet. And no, it's not luck. It's not coincidence. It's the wealth transfer, and it's already in motion. One of the most telling signs that you're part of it is the restlessness, that sacred agitation, that sense that you were made for more, not more fame, not more stuff, but more impact, more meaning, more divine purpose. You can't unsee what God has shown you. You can't unhear what He whispered to you at 3 a.m. And no matter how much you try to distract yourself, you feel the call. You can't go back to normal. You can't shrink to fit into spaces you've outgrown. Your spirit is expanding. Your appetite is changing. You're hungry for truth, for alignment, for destiny. And that hunger is proof. You're part of the transfer. You don't even want wealth for yourself anymore. You want it to build. You want it to heal. You want it to free people. That's how you know. Because the chosen ones don't chase money. They chase mission. And money, it chases them. Not because they worship it, but because they've proven they won't misuse it. God is looking for vessels, not vaults, distributors, not hoarders. And when He finds someone who says, God, if you bless me, I'll bless them, He opens the floodgates. Pay attention. Opportunities are shifting. People are waking up. And you're no longer interested in crowds. You're interested in calling. The ones who used to be invisible are rising. The ones who were overlooked are being anointed. This isn't the season of the loudest voice. It's the season of the clearest purpose. You don't need a stage. Your obedience is the message, and heaven is rewarding what earth ignored. So stay alert. Stay aligned. Don't waste time explaining yourself to people who don't have the capacity to understand your call. You're not crazy. You're chosen. And everything is unfolding exactly as it should. This is only the beginning. The real shift hasn't even hit full speed yet. But the chosen ones, they're already feeling the wind. They're already moving. They're already receiving. And the best part? God's not done. Not even close. The greatest transfer in spiritual history has begun. And if you're hearing this, you're already standing in the overflow. This wealth transfer is not about materialism, it's about mission. It's not about flaunting your blessings, it's about fulfilling your purpose. You see, when God begins to pour out divine abundance, He doesn't just look at your desires. He measures your discipline. He doesn't just consider your prayers. He examines your posture. And if He sees that your heart beats for more than yourself, if He sees that your dreams include feeding others, freeing others, lifting others, then He knows you can be trusted with the treasure. Because this isn't just money falling from the sky. It's a divine redistribution of power, of resources, of influence. And it's flowing away from the greedy, the corrupt, the arrogant. It's flowing into the hands of those who will use it with holy integrity, into the hands of the humble, the pure-hearted, the bold enough to break chains with it instead of building golden cages. You were never meant to just survive. You were meant to build, not for your ego, but for the kingdom. There are blueprints in your spirit that this world hasn't seen yet. Visions of schools, sanctuaries, shelters, and systems that set people free. You were given ideas that can break generational poverty. You carry solutions for communities that are dying in silence. And the only thing missing has been resources. But now, heaven is answering. The finances are coming. The partnerships are forming. The lands are being released. But don't make the mistake of thinking this is just your reward. It's also your assignment. You're being trusted with territory. You're being sent to establish safe places in a collapsing world. And while others waste wealth on vanity, you'll invest it in legacy. That's why God chose you, not for status, but for stewardship. He saw that you wouldn't idolize the blessing. He saw that you'd use it to resurrect broken places. That's why this transfer is sacred. It's not about having more, it's about doing more. You are not just a recipient, you are a reformer. And everything God is about to give you has purpose written all over it. What you must understand is that when God moves, He moves suddenly. He doesn't always give you a long warning. One moment, you're struggling. The next, doors are swinging open that you never knocked on. One day, you're overlooked. The next, you're being called to rooms you never applied to enter. That's how divine acceleration works. But even though it feels sudden, it was never random. This moment was scheduled in heaven a long time ago. Your tears were seen. Your obedience was recorded. Your sacrifice was remembered. And now the heavens are releasing what's been held up. Not because you shouted the loudest, but because you obeyed the longest. You stayed when others left. You prayed when others gave up. You believed when everything told you to walk away. And now the reward is on its way, not in small drips, but in divine overflow. That moment when everything shifts, it will feel surreal. You'll check your account twice. You'll reread the offer 3 times. You'll wonder if it's too good to be true. But that's just your old mindset catching up to your new season, because what God is doing now doesn't make sense to the flesh. It doesn't follow earthly timelines. It's not based on logic. It's based on divine law. The harvest has been stored, and now it's being poured, but only to those who can handle it, not just manage it, but multiply it, not just spend it, but sow it. Because wealth without purpose is a weapon in the wrong hands, but wealth in the hands of the chosen becomes freedom, not just for you, but for everyone connected to you. This isn't just a blessing, it's a launching pad, and you're about to take off. And don't worry about those who counted you out. Don't waste energy on explaining yourself to people who dismissed you when you had nothing. Because part of this divine move is public redemption. God is setting the table in front of the very ones who thought your story was over, not to shame them, but to show them what faith looks like, what patience produces, what favor feels like when it finally arrives. Your rise will be undeniable, not because you forced it, but because God announced it. You don't have to shout. You don't have to prove. Just walk in it. Walk like the promise already came true. Because it's not about revenge. It's about revelation. They will see you and realize only God could have done that. They will hear your story and know that's what obedience leads to. You don't need applause. Your fruit will be the loudest sound in the room. The protection over this blessing is supernatural. There are angels assigned to it. Walls you can't see are surrounding it. This isn't a fragile favor, it's fortified. Your enemies may try to sabotage it, but they won't be able to touch it. They can gossip, slander, plot, even pray against it, but none of it will prosper, because this elevation is sealed, and what God seals, no man can curse. The season of vulnerability is over. Now you walk in authority. You don't need to respond to negativity. You don't need to defend yourself. Just stay focused, stay humble, stay holy. Because this isn't just about you, it's about the people watching you. They're watching to see how you handle the blessing. Will you let it change your posture? Will you forget where you came from? Or will you point every ounce of glory back to God? This is the time to be laser-focused, to protect your peace, to guard your circle. Don't move unless God says move. Don't attach to anything or anyone out of loneliness or fear. In this hour, discernment is currency, and silence, that's strategy. You don't owe anyone your playbook. You don't have to explain the oil on your life. Some things are too sacred for public consumption. Protect your momentum. Guard your growth. You're not just stepping into a blessing, you're stepping into a battlefield. Because with every level comes new tests, but you won't have to fight the way you used to. God is assigning grace for this elevation, and your only job is to stay in alignment, to listen, to obey, to trust the instructions even when they feel unfamiliar, because the next breakthrough won't come from striving. It will come from surrender. The next open door won't need your manipulation. It will need your maturity. Don't confuse movement with progress. Don't let busyness become a counterfeit for purpose. In this season, every yes must be prayed over. Every invitation must be discerned. You can't afford to miss your moment chasing things that have nothing to do with your mission. And the truth is, what looks like a good opportunity can sometimes be a trap in disguise. That's why God is sharpening your vision. That's why your spirit feels more sensitive. You're not just being elevated, you're being refined. Because God is raising a new breed of kingdom leaders, ones who move with precision, who give without ego, who lead without needing applause. You are part of that remnant. You are part of that rise. So don't be discouraged by the warfare. It's a sign that what you're carrying is valuable. You don't get attacked for being average. You get attacked because you're anointed. But take heart. The same God who sustained you in the wilderness is the God who will bless you in the promised land. And when the weight of the blessing feels heavy, remember, you were built for this. The chosen ones are rising. And this transfer, it's just the beginning of what heaven has in store. This is not the season to move fast. It's the season to move with precision. Everything that happens now must come from a place of obedience, not opinion. God is not blessing busy hands. He's blessing obedient hearts. If you're serious about being part of the divine wealth transfer, you have to understand this. Not every opportunity is from God. Not every open door is a divine invitation. Some doors are distractions designed to detour your destiny by looking like your breakthrough. The enemy knows he can't curse what God has already blessed, but he'll try to confuse it, delay it, dilute it. That's why you must be vigilant. Don't rush, don't panic, don't move just because something looks good. Wait until God says it's right. Because in this season, the cost of disobedience is too high. A wrong partnership can set you back years. A rushed decision can drain the very blessing you waited so long to receive. You can't afford to misstep now. You've entered a sacred timeline. The heavens are shifting things on your behalf. Resources are being released. Doors are being prepared. People are being stirred to bless you. But this flow is assignment-driven, meaning the moment you step out of divine instruction, the flow tightens. The blessing never leaves you, but it pauses because God doesn't fund rebellion. He funds obedience. He's looking for sons and daughters who don't need an explanation to obey, who can follow instructions even when the full picture isn't clear. That's how heaven works. It moves through trust. And if you can trust God with a yes, even when your logic screams wait, you will see favor that no man can manufacture. This season isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters. The weight you carry requires intentionality. You're not called to be everywhere. You're called to be in position. And when you're in position, things align. The right people find you, the right doors open, the right solutions appear. Not because you chased them, but because you obeyed your way into alignment. This is why discernment must be your closest companion now. The ability to distinguish between what is good and what is God will determine everything. You must learn to recognize divine timing, divine connections, divine instructions, and separate them from distractions dressed in opportunity. In fact, don't be surprised if God tells you to walk away from things that make perfect sense. He might ask you to say no to money that seems like a miracle, to distance yourself from people you thought would be part of your next chapter. That's because God sees what you can't. He hears conversations in rooms you haven't entered. He knows the spirit behind the smile. Trust Him when He says wait. Trust Him when He says walk away. Trust Him when He says not yet. Your obedience now is an investment in your future peace. You don't need everything to happen at once. You just need the right thing to happen at the right time. That's the rhythm of divine wealth. It's not rushed, it's revealed. And make no mistake, this wealth is not coming to you for indulgence. It's coming for impact. It's not about showing off, it's about showing up for your family, for your community, for the broken and forgotten. God is about to use you to shift atmospheres. But He can't do that if you're distracted by every shiny thing that comes your way. You have to stay grounded, stay focused, stay aligned with the vision He gave you, not the one the world wants to sell you. This is sacred ground you're walking on. Every step you take is prophetic. Every decision you make is planting seeds. So treat this season with reverence. Guard your time, guard your mind, guard your spirit. Because heaven is watching how you manage the blessing before it arrives, and your preparation will determine the portion you receive. And here's what many don't realize. This blessing isn't just about now. It's about legacy. What you build in this season will echo through generations. Your obedience is carving a path for your children and your children's children. This isn't just about breaking cycles, it's about establishing dynasties of righteousness, wisdom, and purpose. The wealth you receive isn't just for bills and budgets, it's for blueprints. It's for building systems that outlast you. God doesn't just bless for today, He blesses for tomorrow. He blesses with eternity in mind. And if you can hold that vision, if you can move with that clarity, nothing will stop you. Because heaven funds legacy. Heaven funds purpose. Heaven funds what glorifies God, not what glorifies ego. There's a reason you're losing interest in superficial things. There's a reason luxury doesn't excite you the way it used to. That's because your soul is waking up to the truth. What matters most isn't what you have, it's what you leave behind. You're being rewired to prioritize impact over image, calling over clout, legacy over luxury. That's why the things you once idolized now feel empty. Because God is shifting your appetite. You're no longer drawn to temporary pleasures. You're being drawn to eternal assignments. And the moment you fully surrender to that shift, you'll start to notice something powerful. The more you let go of chasing things, the more those very things start chasing you. The more you focus on giving, the more is given to you. Not by accident, but by principle. Because the chosen ones don't live by the rules of this world. They live by kingdom laws. And in the kingdom, the ones who give the most gain the most. Your name is being written into places of generational influence. Your voice is being prepared for platforms you haven't even dreamed of. But all of it depends on this. Will you steward the blessing? Will you multiply it without letting it multiply you? Will you hold the wealth with open hands, ready to release it when God says, without fear, without hesitation? Because that's what sets you apart. That's what makes you chosen. Not that you get more, but that you give more. Not that you rise, but that you lift others as you rise. And if God can trust you with that level of integrity, there is no limit to what He will pour into your life. You're not here to blend in. You're not here to maintain. You're here to build a legacy that makes demons tremble and angels rejoice. The wealth transfer is already moving. The question is, are you moving with it? The time of hiddenness is over. For years, you walked in silence. You served faithfully without recognition. You labored in prayer when no one was watching. You carried burdens that others ignored, and you did it all with a heart that refused to quit. But something is shifting now. Heaven is lifting the veil, and what was once invisible is now being revealed. You are not rising because of popularity. You are rising because of purpose. This is not a promotion handed out by men. This is a divine unveiling. God is exalting those who were faithful in the background. He is calling forth the ones who were overlooked, underestimated, and forgotten. Not because they fought for position, but because they surrendered to the process. These are the ones who allowed God to prune, refine, and rebuild them in the shadows. And now, those same shadows are about to turn into spotlights, but not for vanity, for victory. Don't be surprised when names you've never heard suddenly become voices of influence. Don't be shocked when people without titles begin walking in undeniable authority. Because this rising has nothing to do with credentials and everything to do with character. God is done with performances. He's done with platforms that entertain but don't transform. He's silencing noise and amplifying truth. And those who have truth embedded in their DNA, those who carry the weight of wisdom instead of empty words, those are the ones He is lifting. They don't need an audience to validate them. Their obedience already did that. They don't need applause to feel worthy. Their assignment already gave them identity. These are the hidden ones, the intercessors, the warriors, the quiet builders, and their time has come. The world may have never heard your name, but heaven has been echoing it for years. Every seed you planted in secret is now breaking the surface. Every tear you sowed in the quiet is about to burst into a harvest. You're not just rising to be seen, you're rising to be sent. God is raising up a generation of leaders who don't lead for the sake of leadership. They lead because they carry answers. And you are one of them. You were not created to chase trends. You were created to establish truth. The wisdom you've gained through your suffering will become someone else's survival guide. The battles you won in silence will become blueprints for those who are still fighting. You are not just emerging, you are emerging with power. This is why the warfare increased before the breakthrough. The enemy tried everything to silence you before the sound of your assignment could be released. He tried to trap you in fear, drown you in discouragement, bury you in disappointment. But none of it worked. You kept rising, you kept pressing, you kept believing, and now the very pressure that tried to crush you has produced oil. Oil that speaks, oil that breaks yokes, oil that can't be imitated. That's why when you speak now, things shift. When you walk in the room, the atmosphere changes, because you carry something holy, something dangerous to darkness. You carry the presence of the living God, and what's coming next will not be quiet. The impact you're about to have will shake systems, disrupt patterns, and awaken the sleeping. You won't have to beg to be heard. People will seek you out because of the weight you carry. This is not hype. This is harvest, and harvest doesn't show up for those who started the loudest. It shows up for those who finish the journey, no matter how hard, how lonely, how invisible it felt. This is your confirmation. You are one of the hidden ones rising, and nothing will be the same after this. This moment right now is not just an encouragement, it is a final call. This is heaven's alarm clock ringing across the earth, and only the spiritually awake can hear it. You've been stirred for a reason. You've been feeling urgency for a reason. You've been hearing whispers in the spirit for a reason. Because time is short and destiny is pressing. There is no more room for delay, no more space for excuses. If you've been waiting for the perfect time to step into your calling, let this be clear. The time is now. Not next year, not when you feel more qualified, not when you have more money. Now, because the window is open, but it will not remain open forever. Those who move now will ride the wave of favor. Those who hesitate may miss the very moment they've been praying for. This is not the time to shrink. This is not the time to dim your light, to make others comfortable. God didn't preserve you, protect you, and position you for such a time as this, just for you to play small. He raised you up to shift the atmosphere, to carry solutions, to set captives free. And that starts the moment you say yes, not a passive yes, but a full surrender. A yes that costs you something. A yes that shifts your schedule, your circle, your mindset. Because if you're truly chosen, your yes has power. It doesn't just change your life, it changes lives around you. Your yes will birth businesses, ministries, movements. Your yes will heal families. Your yes will open doors for generations. And let this be said clearly, this wealth transfer is already moving, but it is bypassing those who are idle. It is flowing toward those who are ready, ready in their spirit, ready in their heart, ready in their hands. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be positioned. You don't need every answer. You need availability. If you can say, God, use me however you want, He will do more with that than with someone who has it all figured out, but is too proud to surrender. Humility is your access point. Obedience is your key. And faith is your fuel. This is your moment to rise, your moment to build, your moment to become everything God whispered to you in the dark. You are not crazy. You are not too late. You are not unqualified. You are called. And the weight of that calling is finally being matched by the power to carry it. The provision is on its way. The people you need are already being aligned. The rooms you're called to are being prepared. And every part of you that once felt overlooked is about to be overwhelmed with purpose. Heaven is not waiting anymore, and neither should you. So take this as your divine signal. You are next, you are needed, and you are ready. Don't miss this moment. Don't miss your turn. The wealth transfer is not just about finances. It's about function. It's about walking in the fullness of who God created you to be. It's about occupying your divine assignment unapologetically. The chosen ones are rising. The old systems are crumbling, and the sound of heaven is calling forth a new generation of builders, leaders, givers, and visionaries. You are one of them, and this is your final call to step into the fire, not to be burned, but to be forged. Now go.